All right. What's up, everyone? This is Zach, and I'm joined today with Riley, good friend of mine. How are you doing today? Thanks for coming by.
Hi, I'm super excited. Thank you so much for having me. This is
Of
a
course.
treat, so I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. So, Riley is a singer, songwriter, entertainer, I would say too, and just all around great, positive person. Uh,
Butter me up, jeez.
but Riley, do you mind like telling us a little bit about kind of your background, who you are, what you're up to these days?
Yeah. Hi everybody. So my name's Riley. I am a female singer, songwriter, recording artist, all that good stuff. I make
Mm.
music. I put it on the internet. But as far as kind of what I do, I have Instagram and things like that where I'm encouraging people to be themselves and
Mhm.
live just kind of an authentic life, no matter what that looks like for them. And but yeah, no, music is my thing. That's what I do. That's what I make. But what am I up to right now? I am currently in the process of putting out as much music this year as humanly possible, but also just connecting with you guys and trying new things. So this is I'm super excited to be on this podcast because Zach's amazing and I'm just honored to be here. This is so fun and different for me. Normally people don't hear me talk. Like I don't, it's
Yeah, that's true.
it's a lot of singing. So this is cool.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. And yeah, definitely really happy to chat with you today. And it's been awesome to kind of see the music journey. And I know like just kind of talking off the record that, you're focused on getting a lot out there. And
Mm-hmm.
when I can't even remember, was Thank You was last year?
Yeah, Thank You was it came out in October of last year. So right
Okay.
kind of in the thick of quarantine and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So no, that was super exciting. I was really proud of that release. It was a song really that I didn't know when it was going to come out, and I had written it, a while before, and it was ironic because the whole song, when I originally wrote it, the premise of it was encouraging people. I wrote it from, and this is so, I don't know, it makes me a little emotional, but I wrote it from the perspective of if I could go back and talk to my younger self,
Yeah.
what I would say to her, because I think that I can be really unkind to myself sometimes in my verbiage and
Yeah.
the way that I view myself and where I'm at in life and things like that.
Yeah.
So giving myself the same grace that I do for other people because all I do is hype other people up and encourage them,
Yeah.
and then I'm so hard on myself. So I wrote it from that perspective of if you could talk to your younger self, what would you say? And it was
Yeah.
just that lyric came out, obviously thank you, but what is I wish that you could see the way I see you. That line to me was
Yeah.
it. And then we got in a global pandemic, and thank you turned into so much more. It turned into thanking, all the healthcare providers and essential
Yeah.
workers and everybody who kept us safe and going during this really unimaginable time. So it's been really cool to see how it took on its own form from where it
Right.
started. But yeah, that's thank you. I'm super excited for that track. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved hearing it, and I mean, I feel like it's one of those songs that there's so much depth and meaning to it, like you're explaining, and it's great. And then also like the melody and like the beat, it's like upbeat and like it's kind of like if you don't even like listen to the lyrics, you just want to like get up and dance to it.
Yeah, no, and that's what I wanted. I wanted
Yeah,
it to catch a vibe first,
yeah,
so that you would listen to it first because you would just wanted to kind of groove to it, and then you just knew once you heard the lyrics that it was
mm-hmm,
gonna walk out feeling good listening to it. So no,
exactly.
that means a lot. That I'm glad it translated that way.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like we've talked just again off the record about it, and just like for me personally, like I feel like this past year it's been a crazy year for everyone, and like when you put the song out, it was like the right time where
Yeah.
like it hit me in ways that I was like, I didn't even know I was feeling this. And like it was super great. And I mean, anytime I'm like talking to someone, they're like, I need some new music. I'm like, I have the song for you.
Oh,
This
I
is
love
it.
that. I love
So
that. No, thank
it's
you.
just so inspiring. And I think that's the cool thing that I really like and respect about you is that a lot of what you do when it comes to writing and music it is kind of like storytelling or
Yeah.
capturing feelings or emotions.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's no, that's exactly it, and that's kind of what
Yeah.
my whole goal is when it comes to this
Yeah.
kind of thing. I think songwriting to me is so personal and intimate, and
Right.
it is that way just because, as you know, and kind of as people know that follow me on socials and things, I'm very
Yeah.
open and honest about
Yeah.
who I am and the struggles I'm going through, the successes I have,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So songwriting is just another medium of that, of being really authentic, of
Yeah.
just what experience I'm going through, and I feel like the more that can be expressed, then the easier people can go through things themselves too. Because I know
Definitely.
we were all, gosh, it was just such a meta experience to be experiencing this
Yeah.
all at the same time and all collectively having these same emotions as not even just a nation, but as a world.
Yeah.
So so I think that part of it is so important to me. It's storytelling and making sure that it's not just a concept I thought of. It's something that I've
Right.
lived and something that I've
Yeah.
felt myself. But yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that just in the sense of social media for so many of us is kind of like an escape where we
Mm-hmm.
post about like the best parts of our lives and that's what we see and that's when it can kind of get almost toxic at times, right? Because like you're seeing all these like people living it up and you're like that's not me, like
Yeah,
I'm
that's not
sad,
what
like
my
you're
life
comparing
looks
yourself
like.
exactly. And I've always loved that about you, how like authentic
Oh,
you are,
thank
that's
you.
just who you are. And it's incredible to see because you're using your platform for something that
Yeah.
whether you have a following or you're just a regular everyday person
Right.
living your life, like not many people post about the lows or the down moments. It's
Yeah.
always like the good things. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that about you and like using, whether it's a post, whether it's a story
Yeah.
or even a song, like
Oh,
it
thank
just
you.
makes it seem so much more relatable and it just shows like the kind of person you are, which is an incredible person.
Stop! No, it's I just think that was something that I was missing
Yeah.
growing up in media. We came up, I was born in '96, so we came up in the time
Yep.
period of kind of the craziness of that was when the tabloids were really abusing these young women and
Yeah.
the way that their bodies looked and body shaming them, and nobody could do
Mm-hmm.
anything. It was just honestly, it was a really, really toxic time in media and in
Yeah.
terms of just kind of what society's image was of what it takes to be a a beautiful woman or whatever.
Yeah.
It was really damaging. So I came into it the older I got, and I just wanted to really create this space that was the media again that I would have loved to see growing up. I would have loved to
Right.
see in someone who was the age that I am doing the things that I do, who was openly
Yeah.
talking about their mental health, talking about
Yeah.
the things that they go through with body dysmorphia, things like all those kinds of topics, speaking out against just kind of inequality and things like that. There
Mm-hmm.
were there were so many taboo topics that
Right.
they weren't allowed to talk about because it was just the way that was then.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's something that I really wanted to do. Also, it just like you said, it feels like this showcase, and it felt inauthentic
Yeah.
to post things, like, oh, here's me at the beach having fun. My life's so great. When really I just
Right.
had a depressive episode last night where I was crying in my car for 2 hours driving around,
Right.
belting out like music, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I really appreciate that because it definitely is therapeutic for me too, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, I love it. And I mean, I've told you this before and I'll always think it just like the way that you carry yourself and how open you are, it's just you have to be one of the most like inspirational and empowering women that I know.
So sweet.
And just like I don't know, like I think about the younger generation, like the people younger than us, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you are the person that I want them to see and like want to emulate or be like or aspire to be because like you're just such a good person with such a good heart and the right intentions and
Thank
it
you.
really comes across in everything you do and it's just so awesome to
That's
see.
crazy. I wish if you could see my face right now. I'm just like grinning from ear to ear. That's just the sweetest thing ever. That means so much to me, seriously. Because
Yeah,
no,
of
you just
course.
have the same positivity. And that's the thing too for anybody who's listening. Zach is one of the most seriously like genuine, open, polite, just such a gentleman through and through. And you've always been so kind. Like you've just always been so uplifting and supportive of me. And I really appreciate it more than I could ever say. So half of that is the environment you've created for me to be in, and that's a whole conversation important in itself, you know.
Definitely, no, I really appreciate that. And I mean, that's the beautiful thing I think about, the friendship we've been able to develop over the years. It's just been super supportive, and it's been a great
Yeah,
journey.
it's oh, and geez, and what a long journey too. It's crazy that
I
we were
know.
chatting the other day about how long it's actually been.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I really didn't know. It's what it was like 10 years, something like that.
I think, yeah, about
Yeah,
10
that's
years.
crazy.
Yeah. It is. It's like one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's probably been a few
Right.
years, and then I realize like, oh no, it's actually been 10 years.
You know, we're old.
And I mean, yeah, because you're
24. Yeah.
you're turning 25 in
Yep. In
a
November.
couple
Yeah.
months, or not a couple months, but
No, I mean
in a
it's
while, yeah.
coming up. It's coming up for
Right.
sure.
So yeah, you're basically 25, and I just turned 25, so
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, 10 years we were
Gosh, we're
babies, so
babies. I know, and it's so
it's
fun
crazy.
to see just the personal development on both of our
Yeah,
sides too.
definitely.
It's been really neat to watch.
It has. And like, kind of in anticipation of our conversation today, I went back through your YouTube,
Oh.
and was just like checking out some of the content, and like that's another like development too,
Yeah.
like just like from then to now, which is it's it's like weird to see, because like I remember seeing like the videos that you posted,
Yeah.
like when you posted
Right.
them, and like I've throughout the years, like I'll go watch one or something,
Yeah.
but just like watching like some of the earlier ones,
Uh-huh.
and then watching more recent ones, I'm like, there's like, you can just tell like how much like you've grown, and it's
No,
crazy.
it is. And honestly, it's so interesting because it's been, gosh, woo, 10 years in a
Yeah.
blip. It's been crazy, and it started off too just as the funny thing is when I first started, I had transitioned from growing up. I did, and I think you know this, but growing up, I did a lot of musical theater. I was in
Yeah.
like competitive dance. Um,
Right.
I was singing all the time. I was in show choirs and taking lessons and things like that. But it was very formal, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I turned 13, that was when I started playing guitar. I fell in love with that immediately. Immediately started writing music. And then I was in
Yeah.
studio recording by the time I was 14. So, yeah, I was
Jeez.
so young. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny how your voice just kind of develops over time. I learned
Right.
how to, well, and I taught myself how to record and started producing myself. That
Yeah.
was a big deal. Um, Obviously, I just got better at singing in general. My voice changed. I
Yeah.
don't think people realize that too. Girls' voices change significantly from
Right.
that time period to the age I'm now. So that happened. But
Yeah.
overall though, I think it was just I gained confidence in myself
Right.
and all of that. So I think that was the coolest thing. Was just I came to accept who I was. Okay, hold on one sec. I'm gonna have to close my door because my mom just got home. Oh,
Yeah, no
one
worries.
sec, one sec. Hey, mom. Don't make too much noise. I'm on a podcast interview. Okay. Okay, sorry. I had to let her know.
It's okay.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Yeah, the beauty of quarantine being home. Oh, but yeah, no. So that was
Yeah.
coming into myself, and the interesting thing too, though, I think the main thing I don't know if you picked up on this from the old videos to now.
Mm-hmm.
It was really just that I was so nervous to be who I was. As silly as that sounds,
Yeah.
I got really embarrassed. I had a hard time posting things, and it felt really self-serving, kind of in a way where I
Okay.
didn't want people to think that it's like, oh, look at me, this is what I do. And
Mm-hmm.
I got really, really self-conscious about that. I got made fun of it for a lot. I went through a lot of
Yeah.
bullying in school and things for it. So I had to kind of rebuild myself back up to just be like, no, this is what you love. This is what you this is your passion, so you need to own it
Yeah,
and just know that the right people will come into your life as time goes on, like you have. So yeah,
definitely. And I mean, it's just crazy to me. Like, I mean, to like your experience, but just the experience of just anyone that kind of puts themselves out there, like
yeah,
knowing that they're gonna get like backlash or people are gonna like make fun of them or bully them. It's just like, why? Like
honestly,
they're
right?
doing
It
what they love
really,
and what they care about. Like,
yeah,
why does that upset
it
you?
comes so fast too, and I think
Yeah.
I've learned over time that it's very much a mirror to themselves if they're
Mm-hmm.
being hateful and you know whatever towards a person that is
Yeah.
living their truth. It's a reflection of their insecurities of that they wish they could do it,
Right.
you know, themselves for
Yeah.
whatever their passion is, or they just don't have the emotional capacity to appreciate, you know, people for what people are. So
Right.
it took me a long time to get there, though. I for sure spent many nights just really, really heard about it all. But once I stepped into that power too, I think it affected. Then I started getting the messages from people saying, you know, you inspired me to do this, or because I saw
Yeah.
your posts, I decided that it's time for me to take up this, or I
Right.
felt good about myself today because I saw your post about whatever. And once those started rolling
Yeah.
in, it kind of was just a nice affirmation for me that what I was doing actually mattered, you know?
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, I think it comes back down to like using that platform that you have to inspire and to empower
Yeah.
people. And I mean, like just to get those messages. And I mean, even if I don't tell you all the
No,
time, like
you tell me a lot. You're
every
so
time, like
sweet.
you're inspiring me to like do what I want to
Yeah.
do. Even like this, this
Yeah.
podcast, it's because I see cool people like you chasing after what they're passionate about. I'm like, why not? Why not me?
Yeah.
Like, why don't I try it?
Honestly, and
Yeah.
things, you know, I think that's the beauty of it. I'm seeing it now a lot more on social media and on TikTok and things like that, where people are
Hmm.
just they're going to bat for each other, and I think that's really cool about our
Yeah.
generation is we really
Definitely.
are a lot more supportive, I think, than previous times have been. So that's been really
Yeah.
exciting to watch.
Definitely. Now, going back to the YouTube
Yeah.
days, I mean, and they're still there, of course, but like, do you have a favorite video that you've posted, whether it's like a cover
Gosh.
or maybe an even, I know it's not like all musical or more
Yeah.
like fun,
Um,
anything that you've posted that's your
that's a
favorite?
good question. I like them. I like them all for different reasons.
That makes
I
sense.
think probably my favorite one that I did, the first one that I felt like was really I surprised myself was the "I Like
Yeah.
It" cover, which was
Yeah.
the Cardi B song because it was a
Yeah.
little Spanglish in there. I think that was the first time too where
Yeah.
I really was just decided I was just gonna go all out and not care what people
Yeah.
thought. And I edited and produced that. It was, you know, everything I do myself. So I recorded
Right.
that, produced it, edited it, filmed it, all the
Yeah.
stuff. So that one was really cool because I added some cool little graphics in there that I didn't know how to do before, and I had watched a million YouTube videos to figure out how to do everything. But I think an honorable mention, I can't believe I'm exposing myself like this, but the the first I think it's the first one on my YouTube channel that's up right now because I had had older videos that I took down from when I was younger, but
Yeah.
it's the Dangerous Woman cover. It's
Yeah.
hilarious because here's and this is the secret, but it's not gonna be a secret in a
Okay.
second. When I recorded that, I was so new to recording vocals myself and producing things. I had just
Yeah.
gotten all my equipment. I had, you know, my mic and everything like that finally, but I had no idea. I thought I knew how to use it. I didn't. So for whatever reason, the vocals turned out really, really crisp and almost crunchy, like they were coming through a megaphone. So, and
Okay.
I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So then I went in there and I was like, you know what? Let's make this a little old timey vintage black and white cover. Make it
Yeah.
seem like it was intentional.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So the whole video is in black and white to make it seem like
Yeah.
it's mimicking, you know, an older era. And it's literally
Right.
just because I could not figure out how to get my vocals to sound the way I wanted them to. It ended up working, but it was funny because, you
Yeah.
know, it was one of those things where you work with what you got when you got it. So,
Do you remember like roughly when you posted that? Like how many years ago
ooh,
that
I
was?
think I was, it feels like 2017, 2018 era probably when I
Okay.
was
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a lot. I was a little baby then.
That's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say, because so that's what, 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Long time.
So you've officially fooled me for 4 to 5
Yeah, no, I
years.
did.
I thought that was super intentional. Like even like when I watched it like last night, like before this, I was like, that's a really interesting style
Yeah.
choice. Like I'm here
No,
for
no,
it.
it happened after the
Now I
fact.
know the
I
secret.
literally recorded
Okay.
it and then I heard the audio bad and then it's like, yeah, nope, you're gonna make this video black and white now and we're gonna it changes the route.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow. The secret's
Yeah,
out.
right. No, it just kinda it proves though that, people start where they start and it's that's
Exactly.
the beauty of that I've been on the internet since I was, 13, 14 is there's
Right.
tangible proof of, all
Yeah,
of that. So that's kind of cool.
definitely. And I was gonna say, like, when you brought up the I Like It video, I feel like that was kind of like almost like the turning point of your
Yeah.
channel, where like
Yeah, no, it was.
it just like elevated from there
Yeah,
out.
it felt like that was the first time I felt professional about it, I suppose. I've been
Yeah.
doing this professionally for so long, but I think in my mind,
Right.
I never really I don't hear myself the way that other people hear my voice. I'm super critical of it. I'm actually almost
Yeah. Totally
yeah,
understandable.
I'm almost neurotic about the details in my vocals and things like that. So for
Hmm.
me, that was the first time that I put something out that I was really proud of, and if people mentioned it to me,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna shy away and act embarrassed,
Right.
because that was something I normally would do. People would compliment and be like, "Oh, I don't know," and that one
Right.
was the first time I was like, "Yeah, no, I was really stoked with that one."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, I have to gush about you
Oh
for a
my
hot
gosh.
second, but like as someone that loves music, like myself, as someone who loves music, like I listen to a lot of music, and I've watched like a lot of singing shows like The
Yeah.
Voice, American Idol, whatnot, and there's millions of people in the world that are all good singers, have
Yeah.
good voices, but I swear, like your voice, like the range you have and like the sound of it is like one of the most like powerful and naturally it's like pleasing
Oh,
to
thank
listen
you.
to, I
Oh my
guess. And
gosh.
like I mean, like I listen to like
Yeah.
Thank You, and it's great. Like I like, listen to it on Spotify, it's
Right.
awesome and it sounds great. But then like you know I'll also hear you just like sing it
Yeah.
acoustically in a video, and I'm like, it sounds exactly the
Oh,
same. Like
that means a lot.
you have like so much talent with your
Thank
voice,
you.
and like it's so good. And like I think of like people, I don't know, like Ariana Grande or like Tori
Right.
Kelly, who just have these like really incredible rangy voices and can go
Yeah.
everywhere. And like you are in that category to
Oh
me.
my
So
gosh. That's so sweet. That is the biggest compliment you could give me. Because they are nuts. It's just
yeah,
I spent my whole life trying to kind of emulate that kind of range. No, that means
yeah,
so much, seriously, because
of
when
course.
I was younger, I had a lot of power, but I didn't know necessarily
Yeah,
how to control it. It took me a really long time to rein it in.
right.
So that means a lot because I really had to learn how to
Yeah.
successfully flip through all those ranges without it being too, it was a process for sure. So,
Oh,
um,
definitely. But yeah, I mean, like I can definitely tell how much time and like work that you've put
yeah,
into it, but it's so cool to hear. And I mean, just to, I mean, 10 years of kind of hearing the
right. No,
development of your
seriously.
sound and everything. It's like it just kind of like blows my mind in a sense to like remember where you were at, and I guess
Yeah,
like where we were both
yeah,
at in life, and now to where we're at now. It's
yeah.
just
We've all been
crazy.
growing together. No, it's really cool. The
Yes, we
voice
have.
is such a
Yeah.
weird instrument, and the fact that I can't, I can't tune it. I can't change my strings. I can't, it's
Right.
however I manipulate it is very much an all body experience.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it definitely is one of the hardest things because it takes so long to get there, but it's so worth it when it
Yeah.
does it. So it's such a, gosh, when I sing, it just feels like I'm connected to something that I can't explain. It's just bigger than me at that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's so. Oh man, that's the sweetest thing. I'm just
Of
giggling over here. I can't.
course. But I think like kind of like you're saying, that connection that you can't explain it. It's like
Yeah,
something is kind of like going on. I feel like that's like I can feel it when I listen to you sing, and I think other people can too. And like even what's the video? How Do You Sleep?
Oh yeah,
Is that
that was
the
an
name of the song? Yeah,
emotional
the
one.
Sam Smith song. Yeah, okay, so like I know the song, of course. It's super
Yeah,
popular. Sam Smith's incredible. Big fan of his, great music, but like when I hear that song, I don't really think of that much because it's kind of more
right.
upbeat and it's kind of like a
Yeah,
radio
it's a pop
song, so it's kind
commercial
of like
radio song.
yeah, exactly. And then like I hear your acoustic version of it, like I literally listened to it and I got like chills and like wanted to start bawling my eyes out. I was like, this is so
No, it was.
emotional.
I'm glad it transferred that way too because
Yeah.
that video, oh man, I don't remember exactly what was going on during that time, but I just know, my mental state was
Yeah.
was rough. I was going through a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember that specific one too. I think I'm in my bedroom. And I just picked up the mic and
Yeah.
just did it, and that was a one take all the way through. Most of them all are.
Wow.
So it was
Okay.
after I heard actually Sam Smith's acoustic version of it, I melted, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I gotta try this on my voice because
Yeah.
I was listening to that song nonstop for
Yeah.
a time period because I just was obsessed with it. But yeah, no, it definitely it was an emotional experience for sure, as a lot of them are. There's a couple that
Yeah.
are
Oh my
gut
gosh.
wrenching to
Yeah.
watch later on, just to know that was emotionally where I was at.
Right. The Billie Eilish
Mm-hmm.
one, When the
Yeah.
Party's Over, like that one was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Well, and that one was super important to me too because, um, for those of you, you'll have to go watch it, but it is. I
Yeah.
wrote on my chest. I don't remember what the four words all were. I think it was depression, anxiety. I don't remember what exactly they were, but basically it was kind of
Yeah.
all these mental states I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that recording, gosh, there is the rasp that comes out in that recording was just pure.
Mm-hmm.
That was just pure human connection there. That was,
Yeah.
and it was, yeah, that was also like another period I was just really going through it. And a lot of times, I post a lot of really fun covers too, but this one,
Right.
I just felt like I had to be really real about where I was at. And um,
Yeah.
because outside, outwardly people hear me and I'm super
Mm-hmm.
bubbly, and
Yeah.
I think I'm considered an extrovert, but internally I really feel like an introvert.
Right.
Because people just kind of assume that that's my mental state all the time, that I'm happy go lucky
Yeah.
and everything like that, but really internally I struggle a lot, and that was one of those ones that really
Mm-hmm.
I feel like was the first time. That was probably one of the most vulnerable videos. I remember being so nervous
Oh,
to
I'm
post it
sure.
because of the
Yeah.
words. I was like, I don't know if that's gonna go over well with people, but that was how I was feeling, so I posted it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I love that, and I think it kind of goes back to the earlier conversation about like social media and like posting, like, you have a lot of fun,
Yeah,
happy, energetic, whatever, videos, but you also have the more serious kind of like emotional ones, like those, and it's just cool to see that like a spectrum,
yeah.
if you will, of like just the human
That's a good word for it.
experience.
I think it really did, and that's the funny thing is my Instagram, my YouTube kind of turned into this little time machine, little gallery of kind of what I've been through the
Mm-hmm.
last couple of years and things like that, and how I've overcome it too is the main thing, that I came out on
Yeah.
the other side and I'm still kicking. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, no, that part was really cool. That's so funny that you remember that.
Definitely. I mean, I I don't know, like all the content that you've put out, I feel like it's so great and it's you, right? It's like it's not anything that's like fake or you're just being yourself and doing what you love and like it's just there's so much
No,
respect
I
for that.
appreciate that. Yeah, and honestly, it's
Of
cool too
course.
because most people have teams of people who do things for them, and
Yeah.
it's the artist, but it's also a creative team input. Where in my case, it's
Mm-hmm.
literally it's just me. It's just me doing all of this, so
Right.
it means even more that way. To get that kind of feedback like that. So that means a lot.
Yeah, of course. So like going off that with you being the one that does everything, like how long of a process is
It
that?
depends on the day. Um, for for recording songs, at least, I'll have to record myself tracking one of these saves, but
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, so crazy about recording. And a lot of times it's me, I'll do a take, I don't even know how many times, like 100 times. If I like that take, then I'll
Okay.
stack that, get doubles, add harmonies on top of that. Normally there's at least 3 layers of harmonies. Then you have all the other kind of added stuff. So by the end of it, sometimes I can sit and track vocals for, 4 to 6 hours, depending on the day.
Okay.
Then
Yeah.
editing everything takes a lot more time. No, it's all super time consuming, but I enjoy doing it. It's one of
Right.
those things. Yeah,
That's
it
good.
doesn't feel like I've been sitting there for 7 hours doing it until I haven't eaten lunch and my stomach's growling at the mic, and I realize I need to go
Yeah.
take a break and be a person for a little bit. But yeah, it's
Right.
tedious for sure, but I think I'm super grateful for it because it's not something that people growing up had access to, previous generations coming up in music. They couldn't just have a home
Right.
studio and just record whenever they wanted. It was expensive,
Yeah.
it was not accessible, and you were always at the mercy of the producer that you were working with, instead of kind of picking
Right.
exactly what you want. So that part
Yeah.
of it has been really, 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 really amazing for me to actually be able to express myself without having those kinds of limits that other people have experienced before.
Right. Yeah, I think that's awesome that it really gives you like the full creative control to do
Yeah,
what you want,
yeah,
when you want,
yeah.
how you want, and yeah, and it just again, it doesn't limit you. It lets you be fully
Right.
authentic and in the moment of whatever you're feeling, kind of like let that out on like a
Yeah,
blank
exactly.
canvas.
And honestly, it's really cool too in terms of geographic location. I mean, you and I are a perfect example of that. We are recording this right now without having to, be in person yet still have the same kind of connection, which is
Right.
awesome. And I'm doing
Yeah,
the same thing too with
definitely.
music. I've been working with a couple of international producers and things like that. So the fact that you can sit
Okay.
and, you know, make a song while I'm here and there in London, or I'm here and there
Yeah,
wherever, it's a really, really cool experience to be able to do that through the internet. And quarantine's made that even
definitely.
more. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just that's awesome. Like just how incredible technology is and that we can do these things and have like we can have this conversation, but you can also be creating
right.
full songs, remotely and that was what you
Yeah,
did for
thank
Thank
you
You
was like
too,
that too.
right? Yeah.
So Ryvis, the producer of the actual instrumental, he sent it to me, and it was funny because he sent it. I loved it. I wrote to it immediately. I
Yeah.
literally wrote it within 2 hours. I sat down for 2 hours. It was done, and I tracked it,
Okay.
sent it to him, and then basically from there, I got to edit and do everything I produced my vocals. I sent it to him. He
Mm-hmm.
mixes it. All of a sudden, we have a song out on Spotify. So it's
Yeah.
obviously it's a little more involved than that, but
Right.
but as a summarization, that's what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, no, it was really cool because him and I had never met until literally last month. We went down to the Grand Canyon, and he was visiting, so we went up and finally met in person for the first time. But it was so surreal that I have a song out with this
Right.
man, and I had never even seen his face in real life. It's
Right.
crazy, but it's really
Definitely.
neat.
It is. Yeah, for sure. And now like the new song, which is still untitled,
Um,
if you can
there's a
say or
couple
if
of
you
there's a couple of them that should be.
the
Which
one
one?
that's the one with like 7 layers of
Oh
whistle
yeah, yeah,
tones.
yeah, that one. Yeah, that one was fun.
That one's a wild one. I love that one. It
Yeah,
sounds so
it was
good.
that was another kind of instance of me being given full reign to do whatever I wanted, and I just was messing around
Yeah.
and decided I was gonna throw some whistle tones with harmonies on top of them. But yeah, no, I don't know if I can talk about that one yet, but
Okay.
hopefully it should
No,
be
that's fine.
coming out soon. I I can't get dates
Okay.
yet either, but the
No, yeah,
music's
that's
coming
okay.
out soon. Basically, is what I can say.
Okay. That's
Yeah, no, it's
exciting.
really exciting. Super.
Do you
No, I was
what were
just
you
saying
gonna
it's
say?
just super exciting. So I'm just
Oh,
super
okay.
excited.
definitely. Um, Now with like the new music
Mhm.
coming out, if you can say or not, no pressure. Is it like just kind of like singles here and there, or is it like leading up to maybe something bigger, like a EP album type
Yeah,
situation,
so
or just kind of putting
honestly,
stuff out?
the cool thing about right now is I am experimenting and finding my sound again. So
Yeah,
right now it's kind of just come as it comes basis, and
right.
obviously the goal is to have a whole full length EP or album soon in the future. But
Yeah,
first thing, I just had to kind of get back on the map again and start putting out music consistently. So it'll probably be some singles
right.
first, and then lead into EP album. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
That's
you are
super exciting.
psychic and you accidentally revealed the truth without even knowing it, because both are true. Yes.
Okay. That's super
Yeah.
exciting though. And I mean, it's so cool because I like kind of like we talked about, like you've put out a lot
Mhm.
of covers and the covers are amazing and I love them, but like I also love to hear like
Yeah.
your songwriting
No,
ability
for
come to
sure. Well,
life.
and that was the hard thing too. Is I have had so much music that didn't get to get released over the last couple of years
Hmm.
because of a lot of different reasons. But so that was
Right.
it was so disheartening because it was one of those things where I was so excited that I was going to release this whole I had a whole album
Yeah.
basically of stuff that was going to come out, and then had some stuff happen and I couldn't put it out. So then I kind of had to start from scratch again, and that's where Thank You came into
Yeah.
play. So no,
Hmm.
I'm super excited to be able to put stuff out, especially too because
Definitely.
it just shows that I'm in the mental place to do it now. Too. That was the thing too. I had to work through
Yeah.
some mental blocks over the last couple of years to get here for sure. But yeah, no, you can expect some new singles, hopefully an EP in the future. I've been collaborating a lot with international producers, local producers, things like that. So
That's awesome.
it's a little bit of a mix of everything, hopefully soon here. So
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I'm
yeah,
excited
no,
now.
it's been cool. It's been cool to just kind of see what comes. I'm very much a go with the flow,
Yeah,
see what works, try it out, try
definitely.
everything, type girl. So
Yeah, I feel like you kind of have to. And I mean, like with music for you, but also just like in life, like I mean, you never know. Just try things, put
yeah,
yourself out there, see
yeah, and
what
you just never
clicks,
know,
and
or who's gonna
yeah,
be a part of your life or be something that later, it's gonna be important. So no, I think that's yeah, that's kind of the theme of right now. It's just trying new
definitely.
things, aka Zach on this podcast right now.
Yes, thank you. Definitely a
Yeah,
new thing for me, but it's been fun. And again, I think that it's just like it's cool to see someone like you, doing cool things, and it inspires me. And just there's so many
yeah,
opportunities we have to like do cool
yeah.
things,
That's
and
the main thing. The
it's a
opportunities
good
are here
time.
now.
Yeah,
There's access to so many cool things that. So that's yeah. If you're listening, that's number one message. Hopefully, you can get from Zach and I is that if you have something you want to do, even if you don't know how you're going to do it or don't know how you have the
yeah,
means to provide for it financially or whatever the situation is, just take it one step at a time and try it out, because once you take that first step, it gets easier and you figure it out as you go, but you don't have to have all
yeah.
the answers to start. You just have to start.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that's something that I talk to a lot of people about, just like people that are like, I want to start a YouTube channel, I want to, do whatever, but I can't do it because like I don't have the
Right.
$5,000,
Right.
vlogging camera, or like I don't have, all this equipment. And I get it. And, like I'm sure you appreciate as someone who like is
Yeah.
doing, music professionally, like the equipment makes a big difference, but don't
Yeah.
let that like stop you from getting started. Like you have to
Yeah, no,
start
for
somewhere,
sure. And
right?
honestly, though, to speak to that, I'll tell you guys a little insider tip about my equipment and what I use. So, really, the funny thing is, I am very much I'm a believer in that you don't need to spend a lot of money on equipment. You really can use everything that you have. So people don't know this, but in my videos, my backdrops are literally a clothing rack with uh I buy I buy basically just contact paper from, your kind of like local
Okay.
learning teaching store, wherever you would find some kind of paper roll with a color or whatever. Those
Yeah.
are my backdrops, and I film it, and I have this little rinky dinky tripod that breaks all the time. It's just that, you know, you use what you can. And it's funny because even as time went on and I got more of the equipment, I found myself going back to
Yeah.
the basics of it because sometimes it
Yeah.
just it gets lost in the translation. So don't feel like you have to spend insane amounts of money to do what you want to do. You just got to be savvy with it, figure out what works.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. Like just kind of going back to your roots even a little bit and just like realizing that, sometimes the less production is actually like the better, it just comes off more authentic and true to who you are, what you're trying to convey with your message.
It that's definitely that's something I learned over time too with just yeah,
Yeah.
because even when I first started recording, when I was going to studio, a lot of the vocals were so processed and very, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they felt very kind of electronic robot-y, which is at the time that's what
Yeah.
people were making. That was very much a, you know, that era. It was
Right.
Kesha, it was Katy Perry, it was that time. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, as time went on, I just kind of realized that less is more for sure in everything. Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. So, something that we've kind of talked about, Riley, is just like your journey and just that it's been a lot of highs, but there's been some lows and stuff too. And even just like with even, to this day when you're posting content, like you might get, a negative comment or, it's a lot to put yourself out there. From like I guess like a mindset perspective, have you done anything that's like helped you kind of get to the point where you're at where you're like, I'm like happy with,
Yeah.
myself and you know, I'm comfortable in my
Yeah, I
own
think
skin.
there's a lot of tools that I've used over the years to kind of get there. I think number one is, and I know everybody says this, but I can't stress this enough. You have to be really, really, really intentional about who's in your circle and who you're allowing
Yeah.
your energy to come from, or and who you're giving your energy to. Your time and your energy and your space is so sacred, so you really have to kind of clean house and take stock of where you're at and who you're trying to, you know, impress or keep in your life and for what reasons, and what relationships are serving you
Mm-hmm.
and what relationships aren't, what things are serving you, where your time's going. Things like that is super crucial just in
Yeah.
your mental health, because I think that's the hard thing is when you put things out, you're really excited, you send it to, you know, your whoever to kind of just, you know, you're proud of it, and then you get some
Yeah.
kind of sometimes it's the inner circle that hurts even more than the random strangers on the internet. So that's number one. Two, I think, is keeping your head down and just working even when you don't know what the outcome is going to be, and just focusing on
Yeah.
service instead of numbers and whatever else, you know. But
Yeah.
main thing too is just knowing it's going to be there and taking time for yourself to kind of recharge and take care of your mental health. I definitely, you know, I spend a lot of time outside. I like to hike, I box,
Yeah.
I do a lot of things to kind of expend energy so that I don't feel as hurt when things like that come up. But
Right.
yeah, you really just have to sit with yourself and silence the noise and figure out who you are individually without any of these people, or even without your craft. Like, who are you without music, or who are
Yeah.
you without sports, or whatever you do, and figure
Right.
out who that is at your core first, and then go from there. But no, it's definitely hard, especially, you know, I see it a lot with younger female artists where the fear of criticism keeps them from putting things out, and it breaks my heart because
Yeah.
it's tough, but also it's really rewarding. And also too, I always think it's one of those things where I'm like, I would regret it if I let that fear hold me back instead of just working through it and going
Mm-hmm.
for it. I would spend the rest of my life wondering what had my life been like if I had pursued the things that I wanted to, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that was incredible to hear. I love that. So many great points and just realizing that you aren't what you do or anything like that. You're you, and it might sound cliche or cheesy, but like you're
Yeah.
individually unique and you have a lot of value, and like to just like come to the realization that you have
Right.
self-worth just for being
Exactly.
yourself. Like it doesn't matter what you do or, who you know or whatever, like just to be happy with yourself and just to find that level
Yeah.
of like peace. I feel like it's almost like liberating when you
No, it
can get
really
to that
is.
point.
Creating to create is so beautiful in that because
Yeah.
it makes such a difference in that there's so much pressure to, have this, there's this kind of, um, I don't know how to explain this right, but I feel like right now in media they're promoting a lot of, I call it productivity porn, where like they expect you to be like, oh, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and do this and get this done. And it's like,
Hmm.
no, you can move at whatever pace you need. You just got to listen to your soul and what makes you happy and just keep on taking little steps. And eventually those little steps will turn into big steps. But um, it's really easy to get lost in the shuffle if you're not careful.
Totally.
Because I for sure did. I for sure did. Yeah.
Right. Definitely. And I mean, not to go on like some side tangent, but we even talked like before we got on here just about like how we're both like creative people that kind of
Yep.
thrive at night
Yep.
with our creativity. And like I feel like a lot of media is like, and just people in general are like, oh, like you have to go
Yeah.
to sleep at like
Yeah.
8 o'clock and wake up at 4 and start
Right.
hustling hard. And like I don't know, like I get like the early
Yeah.
bird,
Catches the worm.
early
Yeah.
riser grinding stuff, but like at the same time, like if you're someone that if you want to stay up to like 4 in the morning every day, because that's like when you're the most productive or creative, and then sleep till noon, like
No,
how is that
it's
any different
insane.
than waking
Yeah,
up at
no,
4 a.m.? Yeah.
and it's
So
really it's this whole industry of there's an industry right now of self care where it's promoting that kind of things, and I get it. I think
yeah.
people should have I think schedules help and things like that, but yeah,
Hmm.
there's no difference between you wake up at 5 a.m. and you're really productive from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. and that makes a lot of sense for you, or if
Yeah.
you start at 10 p.m. because that's when you feel the most awake and whatever.
Right.
Yeah, no, musicians are for sure night birds. So I live by that, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And just with and kind of tying that into like mental health, like you're mentioning, just you know especially during a time like now with the way that the world's been, just with everything going on. I think it's just so important to just check
Yeah,
in with yourself and check in with friends and family and loved ones too, of course, but just like make sure that you are taking that time to self-care or to just see how you're doing, because there's a lot going on. And juggling the way things are going on in the world with like just like maybe your job or your education, like it's
yeah,
it's
and
a
it's a
lot.
lot. It's a lot outside of the pandemic. Then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
people are.
exactly.
Yeah, you can overexert yourself so quickly, and it's so easy to,
Hmm.
once you get off work, feel the need to go do X, Y, Z, and it's like if you don't take that time for
Yeah.
yourself, you are never going to be fulfilled. I've had to I've had to learn that a lot because I'm very much a people pleaser, very much I'm always
Yeah.
concerned about how, the well being is of my family and my friends. Not a lot of
Hmm.
times, I wasn't taking a lot of time to sit with myself and figure out how I was doing. So then I would come
Yeah.
into things and not have energy to give to them in that moment, but want to so desperately be able to support them that it eventually really
Yeah.
got to me. So yeah, no, that is super crucial, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Definitely. And I mean, I guess we're kind of going back to, the premise of
Yeah.
thank you a little bit here, but, something that you were saying is that you have, when it comes to like your friends, your loved ones, you're so supportive and everything, but with yourself, that's when you might tear yourself down and like say like negative things to yourself. And I think that's super common. I mean, I do it. I think everyone does it, but I think like the best thing that I've learned in life is like, you know, I would never tell Ryli like, "Oh, like
Right.
you suck because you slept, till like noon or something." But
Oh
I'm
yeah.
so quick to tell myself that. So just think like, how would I talk to a friend? I need
Exactly.
to talk to myself
Exactly.
that way.
Yes. 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 Yes.
It's just so important. And like, but
No,
it's not easy, right?
it's so
Like
hard.
we all
It's so hard.
do it.
But it is so crucial because
Yeah.
eventually I think the problem is too, and I think messaging matters even when it's talking to yourself.
Hmm.
Something could be completely false about you, But if you tell yourself it enough,
Yeah.
you will believe it, and your brain will believe, your body will
Yeah.
just, it sticks to that. And I've learned too that, and I don't know if this happens to you, I've learned this a lot too, especially in the last year. I've had so many things happen to me. I broke my foot in literally at the beginning of quarantine last year. Had all these kind of crazy,
Yeah.
health issues, like physical health issues going on. And I found
Hmm.
out later it was because I had so much stress, and I had so much, I was talking down to myself so much, and I was taking on so many
Yeah.
people's things that eventually your body keeps score and you break. You just
Yeah.
do. And for me, that was literally, I did something so. I got up, I'm not even kidding, Zach. I got up from the couch and my foot hit weird, and all of a sudden my foot was broken. And I could not
Oh
believe
my
it. Yeah.
gosh.
I thought I was going to recover in maybe, 2 weeks when I went in originally. They put me in a
Yeah.
cast. I couldn't walk for a couple months.
Right.
It was a whole thing. But that time period to me was so important because I had to sit down and figure
Hmm.
out, like, what is my body telling me right now? And it was very, very clearly telling
Yeah.
me that I was taking on too much, and I wasn't taking care of myself the way that I needed to be. So yeah, it's huge. Your body for sure remembers and stores all of that pain and that
Yeah.
stress and everything like that. So
Exactly. Yeah. It's like just that like kind of mind body connection of like the stress that we take in our mind and the stress that comes in through life, like we
yep.
internalize it in our body, and then exactly like you said, like your body doesn't forget about that, and it takes a toll, and even if you don't feel it or think it's happening, like it eventually
Your
catches
body
up to
doesn't know the
you.
difference either. Is the problem is whether
Right.
it's something real happening going on, but it just knows that your stress levels are through the roof, and that it's stress for
Yeah.
you, and yeah, and things like that. So that's been really important in quarantine for me. Has been taking the time to just sit and be, and not have to be constantly productive. Um, because it definitely. Did you feel that pressure at all too in quarantine? Of everybody was like, oh, I'm gonna get my summer body now. I'm gonna start this business now. I'm gonna do this, and now I have all this time, and I'm gonna do this. And it's like, no, I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah, 100% felt that. And it's one of those weird things where like it doesn't really make sense that like why
Yeah.
we should feel that way, but we just do because of like the way
Mm-hmm.
that media spins things. And like I don't know, you like go on Instagram and see
Yeah.
someone that's like doing crazy stuff like that. They're like, "Oh yeah, I just like
Right.
started my fifth business, and like I work out like
Right.
5 hours a day and make these great meals during quarantine." And
Right.
you're just like, "What?" Like
Yeah,
I
and
got out
that's
of
a and
bed
that's a
today
that's
and
a win for me.
like
No. Yeah, no, I'm
right.
glad because I felt
No,
really for a time period I just did not want to do anything, and it took me a little bit to get to a point where I was like,
yeah,
okay, I feel like I'm good enough now to start some creative things and start moving. But the first couple of months, it was a lot to
definitely.
take in for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that like a good thing, just I want to touch on real quick is like I'm someone that like I feel like I always have to be productive, and like I just have this massive list of things, and some days I wake up and like I'm just not feeling it, and maybe I have like a list of 10 things and I only do like 7 of them, or 6 of them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, today was such a waste, like I
Yep.
suck, like what a failure. But like you said, like you literally just said, like sometimes getting out of bed or like getting ready for the day, making yourself, a good meal,
Yeah.
like that is enough. Like that's all you need to do. Like just I think the theme here is
Yeah.
just be kind to yourself, and just give yourself the same love
Right.
that you give to others, because
Yeah.
we all need it.
No, and it's so true because
Yes.
that's something that we're dealing with now, but it shouldn't have to be that way. It really should be. Things can move at your pace, and it's great to be productive. But I think also sometimes we put this,
Yeah.
and I do this to myself too, where I have this big planner I use every day.
Hmm.
My list is ridiculous, and I
Yeah.
know I very well know I'm not going to get to all those things that day. But in my brain, I will
Yeah.
start to break it down, and I yell at myself because I get frustrated with myself that this is going to be done until Tuesday, and I can't even get to this until Sunday, or blah blah. And it's like, would you,
Hmm.
if you gave these, same thing that you said, if you gave these this list and these tasks to somebody else, would you scream at them because they couldn't get to until the next day
Right.
because so no, it's it's for sure present in my life, and it's something I'm working on every day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's we all experience these things to some extent, and I think it's just the way that like our generation and future generations and just the way the world's trending, like we're having these conversations more openly, and I think collectively we're going I'm hopeful that we're going to get to a world where, self-love and mental health conversations and, just taking breaks and, listening to your body and stuff is going to be more at the forefront of like conversations instead of like you have to be busy all the time and super
I think
productive all the
so,
time.
for sure. And I think these conversations are the ones
Yeah.
that fuel that, because you don't we didn't hear that a lot growing up, that that these things were a thing. I
No.
didn't even know what self-care, I hadn't heard the word self-care until I was, I don't
Yeah.
know, 14, 13, 14. And even then I equated
Yeah.
self-care to, oh, you just throw on a nice face mask and hop in a bubble bath, which,
Right.
yeah, that's nice
Right.
and it does feel good, but self-care is so much more than that. But I didn't know. I really didn't know.
Yeah. I totally agree. Like just thinking back, like we've definitely grown up in like
No,
I guess
so
weird
many
times, like
times.
to be honest, we're just like it's so foreign
Yeah.
to like how the world is now, where like there's just so much different focus on things, and it's just I don't know. I guess I would
Oh
say
yeah.
it's better, for young
Yeah.
people and young kids, and just with realizing all the pressure and stress that we experience. Because I don't even think like you or I probably realized like the amount of pressure or stress we had on ourselves just like going to school and
Because a lot of
doing
people,
those kind of
especially
things.
too, because we came from, you know, this really kind of American industrial work hard, work for
Yeah.
your family type ideals, and then it was like following up
Right.
into that. Our parents tried, and then we came next, and we retired. We retired,
Yeah.
and no, and I think too the hard thing for them that they have now that's added on top of everything is the social media pressures. That is something.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't think any of that was really in our lives until, when was
No.
Instagram launched? It's like 2012, 2010.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
something like
yeah, I was gonna
that.
say
I mean, for
2012.
me, 2012, I
Yeah.
was a sophomore in high school. So I was old enough to still feel it, but not that I grew up with it.
Hmm.
So that for them now is
Yeah.
really challenging. I feel for that, because that's a lot of pressure on their ends to live up to have a social media
It
presence
is.
as a kid. I can't even imagine what that
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to think about, just all the pressures and just like even, something I think about a lot, and just like someone that loves sports, like in the March Madness tournament that was just going on, like one of the players from Ohio State missed some big shots or something and was getting like literal like death threats on Twitter and stuff. And it's like this
Jeez.
kid's like
Yeah,
18.
it's a
Like that's
game. It's a
insane.
game.
Yeah.
It's a kid
It's a
playing a
game. It's a
game.
college kid.
Yeah.
Like it's just like there's so many pressures and just like I mean, not to take a negative
No,
approach, but
not
just so
for
many like
sure. A lot of
trolls
trolls.
on social media and
Yeah.
in the world where it's just like just people that try to get under people's skin, and it's just like why
Yeah.
why are people
You know,
spending
well,
time
there's a
doing that?
difference too
But
between, I've dealt with trolls in the terms of just them being mean about
yeah.
whatever, and then getting death threats for missing a
Right.
shot in a game. That is, I mean, they
Yeah.
shouldn't be cruel regardless, but that is next level. That is not something anybody
Right.
should have to ever
Definitely.
experience. Because I'm sure he already, I
Right.
guarantee nobody's beating
Like
up
feels
himself
terrible.
more than him. So he doesn't need
Yeah.
that on top of it.
Exactly.
That's a lot. But
Exactly. So I mean it's one of those things where just it's very a fine line between like being super toxic with social media, but also like
yeah,
it can be a great place too, and there's a lot of great that can come out of it too, but it's just like
it's a lot.
it's a lot
And
of
I
pressure
think
either
too,
way.
I've learned to filter
Yeah.
out a lot of stuff too. I
Hmm.
think that's something important, that depending on who you follow, that that changes your entire feed of the media you're consuming and what you're seeing. So
Yeah.
I had to go out a couple of years ago and clean out my entire Instagram, unfollow a bunch of people, and then
Yeah.
refollow a bunch of accounts that made me feel, inspired and helpful to the mental state that I needed to be in at that
Yeah.
point, because you're just consuming so much media, you don't even realize it until later on how ingrained that becomes in your
Hmm.
subconscious.
Definitely. And I mean, it's so funny that you brought that up because when you're talking about just like having,
Mm-hmm.
the right people in your circle and in your life, that's exactly what I thought of just because like I've recently, within the last year, like I've gone through, my social media and I'm like, if some, whether it's like a brand or celebrity or whatever, like if that person doesn't like serve me in a positive light or just like negative content, like
Yeah,
I just want to get
there's
that
no
off of my
reason.
feed and just like I don't want to consume anything negative because like your mind kind of
Mm-hmm.
takes a toll, your body takes a toll just like seeing it, and it's like just we need that
Yeah,
positivity and like uplifting
no,
content
that's
to
it.
be what we
Honestly, it just
consume.
kind of goes back to the concept of whatever doesn't serve you doesn't need to be around. And having the
Right.
authority to
Definitely.
decide that, even if that means following or unfollowing someone that you knew 15 years ago, that and it's not fun.
Right.
It's definitely not fun to cut those ties or end those
Yeah.
connections, even if it's just as simple as unfollowing something on social media. But life changes, and you
Right.
change, and your ideals change, and you have to
Yeah.
grow and shift with that. And yeah, be kind to yourself, as Zach and I say.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point, and I guess like, you know, the last thought I'll bring up on that is just kind of I've recently come to this conclusion on the idea of like
Mm-hmm.
of having soulmates in your life, and like,
No, they can
soulmates don't have
totally
to
be
be
platonic.
romantic. They can
Yes.
be anyone.
Yes.
Like platonic soulmates, it can even like to me a soulmate can even be
Yes.
like a
Yes.
thing, like a hobby, a passion, whatever. And like just knowing that every soulmate that you have, it will come in at the right
Yes.
time and serve its purpose, but it doesn't mean
Amen.
it has to last. So like, with that example you were using of like maybe someone that you were like super close with or even just
Mm-hmm.
kind of close with like 15 years ago, like they serve their purpose, and like if you kind of went your own way or just need to kind of remove yourself from that
Yes.
situation or whatever, just unfollow whatever, like that's fine, like that's not a
Yeah.
bad thing, like they serve their purpose, don't regret it, just that's life. Like we're thrown a whole bunch of amazing people and
Absolutely.
soulmates and things, and we're gonna have many throughout our lives, and
Yeah.
whether it's romantic, platonic, like an idea, a hobby, a love, like it's all important and it
I
all
love
serves its
that. I love that
purpose in
so
one way or
much. And it
another.
really is true too, because it's so easy to get attached to
Yeah.
what you think, especially when those people or those ideas or business opportunities or whatever that is for you comes into your life, or friendships even too. And you
Hmm.
think this is going to be with you forever, and it's going to be something that's going to grow with you as you grow.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you kind of wake up one day and you're really different than you were when you first started that relationship. That's okay. It
Right.
doesn't have to it doesn't have to come with that
Yeah.
always, but you can still, I think that's also another thing too. It doesn't have to be this, just because you've unfollowed them, like you said, doesn't mean that you lose the love ties that you had with them, or those that love and
Right.
that connection will always be there. But that just means that in your day to day,
Definitely.
it doesn't have to be as a forefront thing for you anymore. But no, I
Right.
love that. That's so
Exactly.
true. I'm so glad you said that, because I always say
Yeah.
that soulmates aren't necessarily
Right.
just a relationship. It can be so much.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, to anyone that's listening, I feel like they probably can definitely see
Yes,
why we're
we
such good friends. We have
we
like the same
finish.
thoughts on
We just
everything,
have.
but
It's so nice.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. It is. It really is. But Riley, it's been great talking with you. I really appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything that you kind of want to leave the audience
I
with, or
mean,
any last message?
I'm really glad that this came. Just so you guys know, Zach and I didn't plan any kind of the conversation that happened today. It was all completely organic. Just kind
No.
of talked about whatever came up. So I truly believe that things happen for a reason, and that for whatever reason this conversation was meant to
Yeah.
be had, and the things that were spoken in here are important for you to know. So I hope that you guys can take this info and sit with it, and just know that you're loved, and to be kind to yourselves and believe in yourselves, and do the things you want to do because life is short, and we gotta just do what we can with the time we got and try to do whatever.
Yeah.
There's no limits, but yeah, and thank you
Yeah.
to you, Zach, for creating such a safe,
Of
beautiful
course.
space because these conversations are so important. So being a part of it made my whole day. Seriously. Yeah.
That's so kind. Thank you. Of course, it's my pleasure too. And I love having these kind of conversations and especially
Yeah.
these conversations with you. And, we'll definitely have to find some time in the
Oh
future
yeah,
for,
absolutely.
part
Let's
two
make
or
you guys
something
come
down
on
the
part
road.
two.
You'll have to be yeah, you'll have to be
Oh,
a
I'd love
familiar
it. I'd
face that
love
comes
that.
by
My
here
name is
and
Sue
there.
Rogers. I'll come.
Awesome.
I'll come into the neighborhood. I'll be a neighbor that stops by when you feel it.
Yes, there we
Yeah.
go.
No. Such a blessing.
There we go. Definitely. Um, yeah, for sure. And Riley, like, where can, people follow you, find you, listen to your music, be along with the
Yeah.
journey?
So
What's
all the
like all the
social.
socials?
I can't talk. All the socials are at sign I am Ryli, and it's spelled IAMRYLI. I said that weird. IAMRYL. Oh, I just spelled it wrong. Oh my gosh. You can find me. Okay, I'm gonna try that again. You can find me. All my
Okay.
socials are at sign IAMRYLI, which is I am Ryli. All my music on Spotify is under Ryli.
Yep.
I'd for sure appreciate if you guys went and checked out my new song, Thank You. But yeah, follow me. I love to chat with people, so feel free to hop into my DMs and strike up a conversation about what we talked about today or just whatever you guys are feeling. I'm always here, always a safe space for you guys to land, as I know Zach is as well. So,
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you for all that. And, I'll put
God.
all, I'll spell it right and
Well,
everything. I'll put it in the description so people, if anything resonated with you today and you want to check out Riley's music or just follow along with the journey or even have a conversation. I know, she's an incredible person and would be happy to chat about anything we've talked about today or just anything in general. So, I'll put that so you can find her that way and be on the
yeah.
lookout for some cool music coming up. And please
Yep,
check out
yep.
all the YouTube videos that we reference because they're all incredible. Yeah, of course. But, Riley, it's been amazing as always. And, I feel very
Yeah.
grateful to be able to call you a friend and have someone like you in my life and a part of my journey. And I know that no matter where you go, what you do, you're going to be impacting so many people and just continuing to be such a positive and bright light in this world.
Oh,
So thank you
heart.
for being
No,
you.
Zach, you're stuck with me. So we are,
There
yeah,
we
right
go. I
until
wouldn't have it
we
any other
die.
way.
So,
Exactly. And see,
right?
here's another example of the whole
Yes.
soulmates concept coming
Yes,
back,
sir.
right? Like,
Yes. No,
there we
thank you
go.
so much for having me and thank you for I'm so excited to see you know, where this goes and you're so talented at what you do.
Yeah.
So thank you for allowing this space and thank you for being you for real. Also, likewise.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yay. Okay,
All right,
bye.
right.